am Vin Ebenau here today with Ocean County Prosecutor Bradley Billhimer and Ocean County Assistant Prosecutor Renee White, talking about substance abuse, and in particular a couple of programs that are designed to curb the epidemic, certainly in Ocean County, and help law enforcement go through additional training to find new ways to help people in Ocean County. So I thank you both for joining me on this call and for initiating these programs and in getting going with them, continually. I know since you became Prosecutor Billhimer, it's been a continued effort in addressing the drug epidemic in Ocean County and everything. So first, thank you for both taking out some time today to join me here.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for having us.
So the First Step program that you reached out to me and to the media, a couple weeks ago, was an initiative that is in Lacey as well. But what does this do to help out addressing the epidemic, the epidemic of drugs in Ocean County that's in Lacey right now? How does this go and help the police departments in Ocean County and those battling an addiction, and try to find new and different ways to address the pandemic, from getting the drugs off the streets to helping people who need help?
So let me start by saying thanks for even covering the First Step program, Vin. You're one of the few in the media that we can rely on to talk about the positive things that we're doing, because we found we're always trying to kind of adapt to handling the opioid epidemic. We started with Operation Helping Hand, let's say in 2019 into 20, and we started what's called the Municipal Court Diversion Program, which we thought was going to be helpful in just screening individuals that kind of were at that municipal court level that never really got into enough trouble to kind of graduate to the services that we can offer through probation in the prosecutor's office and indictable type offenses. It was going swimmingly well in Toms River Municipal Court, and then we expanded it into Berkeley, and then COVID-19 pandemic hit, and it kind of thwarted our progress. So while we still have the Blue Hope program available, that's another program that connects people to treatment and outpatient services. But that also has been hampered a lot by the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the program where you can walk into any of our police stations and be connected with treatment. People aren't really walking into police stations at this point, and they haven't been for almost a year. So we had to kind of find new and innovative ways. And the First Step program was under the Operation Helping Hand umbrella. Operation Helping Hand is a grant that we received from the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General. And it's really been helpful to not just the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, but all the prosecutors' offices in New Jersey, because we're all operating on a limited budget and all trying to do more kind of with the same money every year. So this grant has allowed us to initiate the First Step program, which we're currently utilizing in Lacey Township. Renee White, who is here with us, is the administrator of the program. I think it's great. I want to thank her for being here. I'd like her to talk a little bit more about how we administer First Step in Lacey, and we hope to expand it into other municipalities as well.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prosecutor, and thank you, Vin, for having us on. It's an exciting program. It is a little different in the sense that, it's very collaborative between our community-based mental health agencies and law enforcement. And a big thank you to Lacey Township PD, obviously, for just embracing it and agreeing to be part of the process. So with that, we have individuals that have overdosed in Lacey Township. They're connected or linked immediately with a clinician and case management from one of our community-based agencies. In this case, it's Ocean Mental Health Services that has been working very hard to link overdose victims and their family members, for that matter, with services. And these services are in their community, they're close by, they're easily accessible. And that's really the important part, is to identify individuals with a substance use disorder, and then to connect them very quickly with the treatment and other linkages for social services that they need to get better. Because as we all know, it's not a one size fits all. A lot of individuals have a lot of different needs, especially now during the pandemic, whether it's financial or childcare or whatever it might be. and a broad-based agency with a lot of resources can make those linkages.
Have there been any challenges so far in launching this program, or anything that you've looked ahead as possible challenges of being, or either getting this program off the ground, or including, one thing that came to mind was encouraging people to get involved and encouraging people to get help, especially those in the throngs of addiction, which at times could be a very difficult thing, in getting to that point where they say, I need help, instead of saying, I don't need help, I don't have a problem, and I'm not affecting anybody else's life but mine.
That's a great point. And it's a great question, because again, this is a voluntary program. So individuals, of course, don't have to accept treatment. But you know what? The great part about using our neighborhood community-based mental health agencies is that they are there. They're always there. They can provide resources. So whether or not they want to be used right then and there, or perhaps used later on when the overdose victim or a family member is ready, they'll have those, written materials. They'll have linkage phone numbers. They'll have the information there, regardless of whether it's in the immediacy or not. But it is a voluntary program. One challenge that we did have, or that we still do have a little bit, is with the timing. So obviously during business hours, linkage is there, even into the evening hours. But you start having challenges when you're talking about a 24/7 operation, with calling people out and things like that. So sometimes it's not as immediate as we would like. Sometimes it's within 24 hours. But we're working on that, and we're working on expanding into actively Little Egg Harbor.
What is the plan moving forward to work with the other police departments in Ocean County in terms of getting this set up, working with the police chiefs and the officers, and of course Ocean Mental Health Services, which is a great organization, in getting this going and trying to do as much as you possibly can in getting people help and addressing the substance abuse epidemic as a whole?
Well, the plan first, I think, is to make sure that it works properly in Lacey, that we work out all the kinks, and then hopefully with the proper funding, we can expand it. One of the things that we found very helpful, obviously, is the community partnerships that we've developed, and Ocean Mental Health has been such a tremendous community partner for us, whether we're using the Ocean County Health Department as we are with Blue Hope. All the different community partnerships we have been very helpful, but the goal would be to try to make this program First Step available in as many municipalities as we can.
Have you gotten, what kind of feedback, have you gotten from Lacey Police Chief Michael DeBella about how things have been working in Lacey, and maybe the kind of feedback you've been giving him in terms of those conversations? Okay, here's what's going on now. How can we further, address this? How can we improve the situation or change things up a bit and to kind of help with that mission?
Chief DeBella has been at the forefront of this for many years, honestly, before I became prosecutor. And when I became prosecutor, Chief DeBella was the first one to come meet with me here in my office and talk about the problems he's having in Lacey. And he always has innovative ways really to try to battle the opioid epidemic locally. He's been a tremendous supporter, and we're following the data, and that's why we launched the pilot in Lacey, because that's where we found one of the highest needs, basically per capita in municipalities. So, Renee, your experience with Chief DeBella, I'm sure, is pretty much the same. But
what just wonderful, nothing but good things to say. And about the department as a whole, I think officers today are already spread thin on resources. Everyone is expected to do more with less. So I think their ability to be able to, sort of connect individuals that they engage with appropriate resources, from what I understand, is a big relief, for them to be able to provide help. Because sometimes, officers that feel, either helpless or hopeless when it comes to providing people with the care that they need, I'm sure that's not a good feeling. And I think for them to be able to be helpful, and to be helpful at a critical time in someone's life, I know that brings some relief.
I want to transition to how officers can help here with another new program that you've recently launched as well, with the Michael Camillus projects. named, and I like how you put the names together here, St. Michael the Archangel, Defender of the Faith, also the patron saint of police, and St. Camillus, the patron saint of the sick. So it's combining a couple different saints there. So you were getting brownie points with the man upstairs. But tell me how this program is going to help train law enforcement officers or give them that additional training to learn new ways to help people, to bring the information back to their departments, to learn how to further address the substance abuse disorder epidemic within their own municipalities, and certainly out of your office on a county level as well.
Before Renee goes into the specifics and the mechanics of how the Michael Camillus Project works, I can just tell you that it's one of the things I'm most proud of that we're doing here in the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. It's a wonderful program, and it really is really the brainchild of Renee White, so she should really talk about it. But it's a mechanism really to fight the opioid epidemic from inside out, in a sense that we can help police officers gain the education they need to help in their departments and in their communities. And it's just I can't say enough about the level of commitment we've gotten from these officers. You have to understand that they're working a full-time schedule. A lot of them have families, and this is something they're doing on a voluntary basis. They're basically cramming 18 college credits into a very short period of time, and getting homework, which I think is probably a new experience for a lot of them. At some point in their careers, they stopped having to get homework, but they're working full time, and they could have sat on the sidelines and just punched in for their shift. But we've got a lot of dedicated police officers here in Ocean County, and Renee was able to rustle up a good number of them and get them involved in the Michael Camillus Project.
Thank you. It's an exciting expedition, but it is sort of innovative in the sense that it hasn't been done before. So when we say pilot project, it's really just, an experiment. But it's been exciting. The officers have been welcoming with open arms the new material, and the mechanics of the program is essentially you have 14 members of law enforcement that are getting a certificate of completion in addiction studies from Ocean County College, which is 18 credits that we have smashed into 1 year. And with that certificate of completion in addiction studies, it makes those officers eligible to sit for state boards and to do their clinical hours to actually obtain a CADC, and that's a Certified Alcohol and Drug Counselor designation in the state of New Jersey. So you have these officers that are engaged in formal education, not just a very quick, continuing education class, but actually a formal education process specifically regarding substance use disorder, so that they could really engage individuals out in their community as well as officers that they work with. It's sort of an inoculation with this information so that they could come back to their departments and deliver this critical information and create a buy-in among other officers to really fight stigma and to help people that need it.
So with what they come back with, what are some things that these officers can do themselves, and what are some things that they go work with their chief on in terms of implementing any programs or anything to do with helping address the substance abuse disorder and opioid epidemic?
I mean, just offering peer support within their own departments, I think, is important. It's always like the early identification of an issue, as well as, again, it's fighting that stigma, creating a buy-in so that we treat individuals that have substance use disorder with respect, and that we give them the treatment that they need as quickly as we can get it, because we know that is basically the best prognosis is to get a hold of an issue early. And I think officers that are in this program, I think will be able to engage better with individuals they engage in the community when they're on the street, when they're on patrol. And I think the hope is that these officers in this pilot project of Michael Camillus can actually weave into our other Operation Helping Hand programs like First Step, so that when there is an overdose in one of our towns, the highest trained officer we have can then respond with a clinician or with a case manager to really give them the best opportunity to get well.
Do you have any special messages out there for the officers who aren't currently in the program, but are maybe thinking about it or aren't sure, is a way to say, hey, it's some homework, which isn't something you may be used to in the recent years or whatever, and college courses, which is, may take some people back to some good old days. But in ways of taking these classes and still helping affect change directly, positive change in the community, with a very serious issue that's, in Ocean County. And the three of us, I'm sure, can agree that we hope that this ends today or tomorrow, but it's, certainly going to take work. And I think through programs like what you have going at the prosecutor's office will help. But what are some things that you want to encourage officers to try and check out this program?
I mean, I just want to start off by saying thank you, obviously, for engaging. I know the prosecutor had stated that this is new, and a lot of them are at different phases in their career. We have really young officers in the middle of their career, officers towards the end of their career, and they've all engaged in this expedition, not really knowing what's ahead of them other than a lot of work. And I just want to say, thank you. And, we're going to fight it together and work as hard as we can. And I think they've all signed up knowing that. They're sort of signing up for uncertainty, but knowing that they're going to work really hard to help everyone in their community. And that's what they signed up initially to be in law enforcement to do, is to help.
In terms of just taking a broad look, certainly at the epidemic and everything, your office has had a lot of programs over the last few years in addressing it, just in general, not necessarily, certainly from a positive standpoint as well, but just kind of sinking your teeth in and going after it. But a lot of the local police departments as well. I mean, we mentioned Lacey, the Brick Police Street Crimes Unit, the Toms River Unit, and a bunch of others who have been, gone above and beyond, who are constantly having eyes and ears out on the roads, trying to look out for drug transactions and trying to go after and clean up the streets and everything. So from that law enforcement perspective, what else can you do to continue to tackle the issue and, make sure that drugs, whether it's heroin or opioids or crack cocaine, which all of which is still unfortunately very popular, not just around here, but everywhere, in cutting down on the amount of drug transactions taking place and certainly finding people help?
Law enforcement efforts have focused largely on the purveyors or the sellers of drugs here in Ocean County. So when I got here in 2018, we revamped our Ocean County Narcotics Strike Force, and I'm extremely proud of the work they do. They're a very proactive unit. They're always out there gathering intelligence and working diligently. The other thing we did is establish a closer relationship with our local municipalities, and we work with them hand in hand. So, as you mentioned, Brick, Lacey, Toms River, I don't want to forget to name anybody, but they have great Manchester as well. They have a great street crimes unit that works and shares information. One of the biggest things I found is that the sharing of information amongst our local partners, our state partners, and our federal partners sometimes is the best way to combat the opioid epidemic from an enforcement standpoint. It's a two-pronged approach. We want to be involved in these programs, and we want to get the help that people need with regard to substance abuse disorder, but we're not taking our foot off the gas when it comes to enforcement.
Assistant Prosecutor White, did you have anything to add along those lines?
Just absolutely, sort of echoing what the prosecutor said, it's a two-prong approach. If you have a sink that's filling up with water, you do have to shut off the faucet. So, and I think that Ocean County in particular has always done very well with sort of, attacking problems from all sides. And that's attributed to the great relationships we have in the community with all of our departments in the county, Department of Human Services, Department of Social Services, our community-based health agencies, all of our various police departments, everyone working as a team in this county we're attacking the problems from every angle. And I think it shows.
Last question as we close up, and you could each certainly chime in as well. What is the message that you want to get out to the Ocean County community as a whole, not just the law enforcement community, but the everyday residents as well, about how you're going after and addressing the drug transactions taking place, and certainly, as on that same note, helping people who have an addiction find help and find recovery in Ocean County?
I would say, Vin, that we've been aggressive on both fronts. We're going to stay aggressive in the enforcement. I think it is our duty and responsibility to make sure that our residents feel safe in their community and that they're not being subject to illegal activity on their street corners. And we're going to stay aggressive, and we're going to continue to fight that fight every day. And then we're going to continue to look at our programming on the other side. We're going to continue to make sure that we're responsive to the community's needs. Whether it's Blue Hope, whether it's our Try-In program, whether it's the Michael Camillus project, or whether it's the First Step program. We're going to keep putting out programs that are responsive right now, not things of the past. We have to keep innovating and making sure that we're being responsive and that we're getting, at least making people aware that these programs are out there. I think that's been a big problem too, is that letting people know that we're doing this stuff and that there is help available, and we're going to continue to battle the stigma of substance abuse disorder, and we're going to continue to work with our community partners for the wraparound services for the family as well, because there's a lot of collateral damage that comes with substance abuse disorder that sometimes goes overlooked. So Renee, I'm sure you have more.
I just remind the community that substance use disorder doesn't discriminate, and that includes our, law enforcement officers, fire, EMS, everyone. And our officers are literally breaking their backs every day to engage our sensitive populations to make sure that they get the treatment that they need. Going to school on top of a full-time job, writing papers on top of papers, and potentially doing clinical hours to really, give their best, which is what they signed up for. And these officers often are touched by addiction in their own families. So I just want to remind the community that these officers, they understand, they're affected themselves by their friends and family members, and that they are working so hard every day and giving it their all to make sure that they're doing the best by their community.
I know it's the last question, but are there any phone numbers or websites that people can go to learn more about First Step or the Michael Camillus Project or any of the other programs that are affecting direct change in Ocean County?
All of our programs are available on our website, which is www.ocponj.org, and you can find all the information on our website.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ocean County Prosecutor Bradley Billhimer, Ocean County Assistant Prosecutor Renee White. Thanks for taking out some time to discuss First Step, the Michael Camillus Project, and so much more. All the good work that you're doing to address the substance abuse disorder and opioid epidemic in Ocean County, and ways that you're cracking down. Certainly continue doing so on drug transactions taking place, and then finding people help within the Ocean County community so that we could slow down the epidemic and hopefully one day certainly put it behind us for good.
Thanks, Vin. I appreciate you shining the light on it. I really do. Thank you.
Once again, that's Ocean County Prosecutor Bradley Billhimer and Ocean County Assistant Prosecutor Renee White. I am Vin Ebenau, and thanks for watching another episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore.